So I watched this video last night, and it was very heartbreaking. Um, I was wondering where this guy went. I was wondering what happened to him. Now I hear, the gentleman on the right. I don't know his name. You used to see him in a lot of videos. Peele, this and that. Really entertaining guy, and the guy on the left, he's associated with Peele. I'm assuming that's his stage name. I've watched a lot of his videos when I was cutting up as a kid, and I heard his career is not doing as great as Key's career. So let's just jump right into it. I don't know if you guys have watched this video yet, but it's not mine. I'm just reacting to it.
That Keegan-Michael Key is nowhere in it. And once you notice it, it becomes hard to ignore. Key and Peele were one of the greatest comedy duos of the modern era. They had the timing, the chemistry, the writing, the characters, the cultural impact. Their show gave us sketches that still get quoted years later. They were not some random double act thrown together by a network. They had a real creative language. Then the show ends and Jordan Peele becomes one of the most important filmmakers in Hollywood. Get Out becomes a phenomenon. Us proves he wasn't a one-hit wonder. Nope shows he can make a big original studio film with his own voice. Whether you love every movie or not, Jordan Peele became a director whose name alone sells tickets. He went from one half of a sketch comedy duo to an Oscar-winning filmmaker with a level of creative control most comedians never even get close to. And through all of that, Keegan-Michael Key is never really part of it. That doesn't automatically mean they hate each other. To be fair, the public version has always been much softer than that. Key has said he and Jordan do not see each other as often anymore, which he called a tragedy, but he explained it as life moving in different directions.
You can never take it away from me. He's got an Oscar, you can't take it away from him. And then I got a little verklempt. Yeah. Then I cried. Oh yeah, I did. I'm just so proud of him because he started working on this script the year after he left Mad TV. So that's 9 years ago. That's about 9 years ago.
Peele lives in Los Angeles, and creatively Jordan moved into horror while Key moved into other acting work. Key has also said their friendship is still good and that when they reconnect, they pick up where they left off. So the official story is not a dramatic breakup. Pick up where they left off.
My other monitor is bigger. I'm looking at this one right now. Our evolution, I think, is tied to both of what our desires are. Continues the Transformers one star. His desire was to start exploring the horror genre, and my desire was to do more dramatic work like I have been trained in school. Cool.
So the official story is not a dramatic breakup. The official story is distance. But now, because of Akilah Hughes' recent story, people are looking at that distance differently. Hughes told a story about a comedy duo she coded as Locke and Banana, which most people online have interpreted as Keegan-Michael Key and Jordan Peele. She did not simply say these two stopped working together. Her story was about a failed television deal, a sketch comedy project, and the alleged involvement of Key's wife behind the scenes.
Their code names could be Locke and Banana. And Locke is gonna use his name to carry you to the forefront of pop culture. And so we came up with a pitch. We practiced it. It was like so good. I mean, like not only is there a keynote presentation, but there are videos. We get one of the people pitching with us to go on Pierce Morgan and force him to say the tagline from the show, unwittingly. We are selling the show all over town. And we get a few offers, which is like a feeling that like is unlike any other, where you're like, we are wanted. Like it's coming together. And during the pitch process, Locke gets his dream. He's asked to host SNL. And he does. And we have this agreement. We're like, and you're going to say the name of the show. You're just going to put it in there at the end when you're doing your thank yous at the end of SNL. And we should have known then that, like, he didn't say it. And it was, like, the only thing he had to say. But there were some things he said that were, like, weird. And thanking his wife, who becomes a weird main character in this whole story. And so my agent at the time calls me. And she goes, how is pitching going? How do people feel about Locke? And I'm like, oh, my God, they love him. Everybody loves Locke. And she's like, that's great, that's great. How do they feel about his wife, who is now somehow the executive producer on my show? And I'm like, you know, I hadn't really thought about it. I don't think people like her very much. And she's like, yeah, that's what I'm hearing. And I'm like, okay, so, like, are you saying, like, we're not gonna be able to sell this? Or she's like, listen, people like you and they like Locke. It'll come together. And so I forgive this sort of moment. But, you know, that should have been the red flag where I said, hey, maybe we, like, pause this. We haven't sold it yet. We're all still free. Let's just recalibrate. Not me. I was like, no, because it's more important to have a celebrity attached.
According to her version, the wife started giving creative notes that Hughes found bizarre, including things like comedy happens in threes, the letter K is funny, and telling the writers to give the audience some candy. Hughes also claimed that after those ideas were not embraced, legal threats were made toward the network, which led the network to pay the couple to leave the project and forced Hughes to write a new pilot.
Now let me pause there because
Dude, that's crazy, bro. Like, what? Like, you're so terrible. Like, I think, so they're saying that the wife is so terrible. Like, they paid them to not work with them anymore. That is crazy. Like, I've had so many shitty coworkers, like managers who curse me out, get on my tail, step on my tail, step on my toes, push me to the brink, and it's not fun. That's the smartest thing to do, in my opinion, is just to say bye. Allegedly, that's what happened.
I brought something that was another red flag that I should have seen. This is from Dumois, an anonymous blind item that someone submitted. They said, since Locke was hosting SNL, I wanted to say, whenever I see him, I can only think of his wife. She has a bunch of food allergies. And she had an allergy attack about a eucalyptus plant by her table at Tribeca Grill. And then, in parentheses, on the celeb sighting list. Acting like she couldn't breathe. The plant was fake, and I showed it to her. She just said, oh, and acted totally normal after that. He was very nice about it and apologized after. He left a good tip. Bizarre, though. And so she threatens to sue the company. She threatens to sue the vermin. And so for a month, we hear nothing. We're no longer in pre-production. We're waiting.
So I just want to interject here. There's a Bible verse I want to share. It's called, where did it go? Here we go. Here we go. King James Bible. Let's go. Okay, no ads, please. Thank you. No, I want to hit the other hotkey. It is better to dwell in a corner of the housetop than with a brawling woman in a white house. And this is Proverbs 9, chapter 21. Yeah, Proverbs chapter 21, verse 9. It is better to dwell in the corner of the housetop than with a brawling woman in a white house.
Around my dreams, the thing I quit my dream job for, thinking I was going to be ushered into the pop culture memory of the United States of America, is on hold. And they get back to us after a month and they say, hey, we paid them off the project, but you have to write a whole new pilot. And I'm like, at this point, well, fuck, like, these are all our best ideas. And also, like, they're like, one day you can perform that for the internet, but, like, we own the TV rights to that. So we do what writers do. We come back together and we write a banger script. Because we know that if the Vermin has nothing, they have IP. And we write a script that is filled with Muppets. We believe that we're gonna have something worth fighting for.
By the time that happened, the writers' strike and corporate cuts had hit, and the project died. The story has since been covered as an allegation, not as proven fact. That part alone would already be messy. But the story gets even more interesting when Hughes claims she received a warning call from Banana's wife, widely assumed online to mean Chelsea Peretti, Jordan Peele's wife.
Excuse me, what do you do for a living?
I clean rain gutters.
And who's this?
Bobo Jangles.
Are you two a couple?
Yeah.
And how long have you been together?
Have you seen the average auto insurance rate in Florida? It's crazy. I don't know how anyone can afford to live here. Floridians are paying about over $3,500 per year on average for full coverage auto insurance. That's nearly $300 a month. What blows my mind is drivers in Florida could be getting full coverage for up to 80% less than they're paying now. And most
According to Hughes, this call was basically a warning about Key's wife. Hughes claims Peretti told her there were open secrets around her.
And Banana's wife says, hey, I just had dinner with Locke and his wife. They say they're doing a show with you. And I said, yeah. And I, again, don't know how she got my phone number. So this seems urgent. And she says something that, like, chills go down my back. I never eat the burrito, spoiler alert. She says, I'm just calling you because I wish someone would have warned me. She does about an hour of a monologue at me about how, you know, she thinks that his wife is like Phil Hartman's wife. That she wouldn't trust her to hold a baby.
The Phil Hartman reference is heavy because it points to one of Hollywood's darkest cautionary stories. In 1998, SNL and news radio star Phil Hartman was killed by his wife, Bryn Hartman, before she died by suicide. Reports around the case described a troubled marriage, substance abuse relapse, and serious domestic conflict before the tragedy. Over the years, people have also discussed Bryn's alleged insecurity around Phil's success and the control issues inside the relationship, which is why the comparison is so disturbing. It's not a direct comparison to Key's situation, and it shouldn't be treated like one. But when someone brings up Phil Hartman in this context, they're usually suggesting a fear of a spouse becoming dangerously disruptive behind the scenes.
I tried to get him to divorce that lady a bunch of times
Really?
while I was working with him. Yeah, because they would fight like crazy fights where he would just disappear for a couple. He would leave the house and he was telling me he wanted to get divorced, but he didn't want the lawyers to take a third.
See, I was predicting that it would be that way. And shut up, iPhone. My Siri thing keeps coming on and listening, and it keeps saying it can't hear me even though I'm not speaking to it. It's so creepy. I was thinking about taking that Bible verse out earlier because I didn't know if it was that bad. Because I just got the hint of it. If no one likes their wife, and if no one likes working with their wife, and this kind of person wants to be the center of attention, and they see a fake plant and they start to I can't breathe, they're hyperventilating. I know that type of person, and that person alone, when they take off the mask, it's a nightmare to deal with. I know that type of person personally. So as someone who's lived with someone like that, sociopaths, narcissists, psychopaths, this kind of person seems like a narcissist. They seem like a narcissist that wants to control everything, who wants to be the boss, even though they suck at being the boss, and they know nothing about being the boss. So let's listen to what Joe Rogan has to say. I appreciate Joe for being so obscure about it because, he really cares about people, and his intentions are pure,
because it's like I was like, just give
Third?
it. I was
How
like,
about
just,
a half?
No. The it's 2/3. So the lawyer takes a third. This is what he was telling me. It's like, I go, just give her half. You're always going to make money. Just get out, be free. Just be, and he was terrified of that. He was terrified of leaving. And so when he finally decided to leave, she murdered him in his sleep. She shot him, and then she shot herself. And my friend who was a cop was actually there when she shot herself.
Oh, so this is about someone else's wife. Okay, let's see who this is. 'Cause I don't know anything. Phil Hartman. Wow, so she killed him in his sleep. That's crazy. Oh, so this is the person they're talking about. I don't know who Phil Hartman is. ABC News. Okay, so he's like a star in ABC News or something or whatever. Okay.
So that happened when the police approached the house.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
According to Akilah Hughes, Chelsea Peretti's alleged warning went beyond vague concern. Hughes claims Peretti described Keegan-Michael Key's wife as erratic and professionally disruptive, including stories about strange behavior at social events, and claims that she had cost Key opportunities behind the scenes. My theory is that Jordan Peele may have asked Peretti to make that call instead of doing it himself, because warning Hughes directly could have put him in an awkward position with Key and possibly damaged a long-term friendship. So if this story is true, Peretti may have been acting as the messenger for a concern Jordan didn't want attached to his own name.
That she once poured alcohol on her birthday cake and this person is sober. And the thing I moved to LA for this job. I'm not a woo-woo person, but this woo-woo thing happened, and I do think it was like the Lord. She says to me while I'm watching the opening ceremonies, mouth agape, there's a sweaty man from Tonga, and she says, there's no accounting for how much money she's cost that black man. And the light above the television burned out. This is a second red flag. I should take the hint. It's not gonna happen for me.
Yeah, there are...
Navan, the #1 rated business travel platform, lets your team book work travel in one place. Flights, hotels.
Again,
there are so many, like... Hold on, my microphone doesn't like that. My camera doesn't like that. There are so many, like, blatant signs that the Lord will send you, and that's probably the biggest one. And whether that's a coincidence or whatever, like, that's a sign. It's so many people just like look beyond it. They're like, oh, my girlfriend, my husband is an angel, this would never happen, this and that. And the Lord is telling them, like, hey bruh, you might want to leave this one alone. This one ain't for you. I didn't send this one. I don't know where this one came from. And they're like, oh, I'm in love with them, this and that. I love this person. And they because they're in the eye of the storm, they haven't seen the destruction around them. They got so used to the, wow, look at my arms. Dang, I got big. They're so used to the destruction and just the high turbulence, that they can't hear the screams, they can't hear the death, they can't hear anything. That's how I feel like some people who live in sin are, people who don't know God. They don't see the destruction that they live in. They don't see the chaos and unrestfulness that they've gotten so accustomed to. And so that the people around them that aren't in the storm but are feeling the effects of it, right? A car might land in their backyard. An umbrella might pierce through their window and break it. And they're saying, hey, bud, you might want to leave that, because I'm seeing the effects of it right here. And it's bad. And they're in like a cast, like They're in like they're in like the freaking, what do you call that? Hospital critical state unit. What do you call that? I don't know. They're in like the emergency room. They pull up on the stretcher and they ask them like, "Hey, is everything okay?" And they're like, "Everything's fine. No, I'm good. Everything's fine." And you keep pressing them. You keep asking them, and they eventually say, "No, everything's not okay. You know, I'm suffering. I'm in pain." And they can't help themselves. And that's what really sucks. Seeing someone like that who's not helpless, but they're in a mental state of helplessness because that's what they're used to. And it sucks. It really does suck.
These are Hughes's claims. We don't have a public statement from Chelsea Peretti confirming this version. We don't have Key publicly confirming it. We don't have Jordan Peele publicly confirming it. But as a piece of Hollywood gossip, it immediately grabbed people's attention because it appears to connect to a question fans have had for years. Why has Jordan Peele never put Keegan-Michael Key in one of his major films? Because yes, there are normal explanations. Maybe Jordan simply wanted to build his film career away from the Key and Peele brand. That makes sense. If Key suddenly appears in Get Out, a lot of people in the audience immediately think, oh, it's Key and Peele. That could distract from the tone. Jordan was trying to establish himself as a serious filmmaker, not just a sketch comedian trying horror for the first time. Maybe Key didn't fit the roles. Maybe schedules didn't line up. Maybe both of them agreed that Jordan's films needed to stand apart from their comedy partnership. All of that is possible, but it is still strange. Because Jordan Peele has become powerful enough in Hollywood to cast almost whoever he wants. And Keegan-Michael Key is a proven actor. He can do comedy. He can do drama. He has the range to fit somewhere in a Peele movie, even if it's a small role. So when years go by and Key is never really folded into that world, people are going to wonder if there is something else there. That's where Akilah Hughes' story becomes fuel for speculation. If Peele's wife really had such a strong dislike or concern toward Key's wife that she allegedly called a stranger to warn her, then it is not crazy to ask whether that tension may have affected the relationship around the duo. Not necessarily.
See, that makes more sense. It's also relief because I love that duo so much. I love seeing them work together and stuff like that. Sorry, I gotta clean this room up. It's gross in here. And it's a relief to see that it's not a conflict between the both of them. I'm sure they have had conflicts in the past. And it's just a relief to see that, you know, they're not beefing, you know, but to seeing the byproduct of seeing the byproduct of you know, that marriage, it's very brutal. That's such a brutal thing because I was wondering where that person even was. Like, why haven't I seen them in large film productions? Or aren't they working together anymore? That makes sense because you don't want, you know, you don't want someone who, you know, is like a comedy icon, like Kevin Hart, like say like Kevin Hart and I don't know, like some other big comedy, you know, like Dave Chappelle. Say they made like a super serious movie, you know, they're gonna be thinking the entire time, where the hell's the punchline? You know, even if it's murder, they're gonna be thinking, where the hell is the punchline? I'm waiting for it. They're going to think, hey, these guys. You know, that makes a lot of sense that Key and Peele don't make movies together because Jordan Peele wants to make movies that are about horror. So that makes a lot of sense. It's just a relief seeing it not be about the both of them having a falling out because I hope to see the both of them in another production together. But I also hope that Key finds solstice in himself and lands back on his feet it seems to me that it's just, the growing pains of, making a few wrong decisions, or just having something blow up in your face and being at the wrong time, wrong place. I grew up watching these guys. I adore these two. I wish them the best, but it's really unfortunate. It's really unfortunate. And the reason why I chose this video is not because it's a good, it's a good lesson for people who are in the word, but it's like, sometimes things happen in marriage. It's more complicated than just being married. I'm trying to figure out what marriage is myself. I want to find out what this stuff is about. But that's equally horrifying, thinking that your spouse can cause you so much turmoil and career collateral. That really sucks. It really sucks. Well, you guys like and subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comments about the situation yourselves. I want to hear your opinions and thoughts about it. And yeah, you guys have a good rest of your day.